Snyder from TransLink, and with me is Doug Kelsey, the CEO of BC Rapid Transit Company, which runs SkyTrain and West Coast Express. And welcome to all of you who have come in through our TransLink online advisory panel. Thank you for joining us. Doug, welcome again.
Good to be here.
And just off the top, because it's such a hot issue right now, pun intended, and we can say that because we understand that the Kelowna fire situation is starting to ease off a wee bit, but there is that need, and SkyTrain has been moving to help meet the need for finances for people just trying to get through this relief period from the fires. Tell us a bit about that, because that's going on tonight.
Well, yeah, I think it's an initiative, frankly, came from some of our own employees who were really concerned about not so much the containment of the fire, which of course is everybody's interest, but also the recovery. And as it now hopefully moves quickly into the recovery phase, we know there's people who are going to be without homes, and there's going to be emergency responders who need to reload their supplies and such. So our own staff are out there tonight, myself included, out volunteering to try and help raise money for as people use the system, to maybe if they can be kind enough in their hearts to give a little bit of extra cash on their loose change, and that we can contribute back up to the people in Kelowna who need that help. So we're just trying to help back.
Now, in order to do that, there's going to be portable fare boxes set up at Stadium, Granville, and Burrard stations this evening between 4 and 10, or 4:30 and 10 p.m. actually, and that's to catch people as they arrive in Vancouver for the celebration of light. So you can bring cash donations. They're going to be set well away, and watch for the signage, set well away from the fare boxes that are set up for people to pre-purchase their return fares, which is one of the services that we do anyway for Celebration of Light. And if you can drop off cash, that's great. If you want to make out a check, please make it out to TELUS Community Ambassadors. It's TELUS that's pulling this fundraising together. The folks at SkyTrain said, how can we help? And so they're volunteering their time, including Doug and his wife, Janet, coming down to be part of that. And they're going to be staffing these fare boxes, turning all the money over to TELUS Community Ambassadors, and it'll be going into this TELUS Fire Relief Fund, the TELUS Global Fire Aid Campaign. So if you're going to help out, and if you're heading down for the fireworks, come on over and make sure you come by those boxes and drop off those donations.
Okay.
So here it is, well into summertime, and we're thinking about the Olympics, because it's funny how when you're planning for something, work expands to fill the time allotted, that all of a sudden it's going to be February of next year and the Olympics are upon us. Transportation, huge issue. How huge, Doug?
Well, I mean, most people, when you think of Olympic Games, you really go back and you go, okay, what's the last several Olympic Games, and what do you think of? A lot of times you don't even think of the athletes or the events, maybe by exception, unless you have a Michael Phelps type of event, which is pretty rare. A lot of times they think about by the challenges that go on with the Games, and always front and center, what I've come to learn, and as we've gone through our process over the number of years in dealing with the Games, is transportation is usually front and center as one of the challenges of any Olympic Games. So you only have to go to Atlanta, where athletes actually missed their event. Torino, Italy, had some significant transportation challenges, and so it was a key piece of actually the Olympic bid itself in the evaluation process by the IOC in terms of awarding it to which city. Ultimately, in our case, Vancouver was the successor. So yeah, transportation is it's logistically very complex, but also a real opportunity here for us to do it right.
We hear talk about security zones. We hear talk about areas where you won't be able to take your car. Are we overreacting, or is it really as big as all that? It strikes me, I mean, I can't, and I work for TransLink. I haven't yet grasped the magnitude of what it's going to be like living downtown, trying to function downtown with all this going on. How much do you feel that people really understand what it's going to be like?
Not yet. I don't think we're not at a place yet where, frankly, we probably expect the public to really understand what's coming our way yet. It's probably too early. We've been trying to almost layer some of this out, as share out information as we know it. But unless you've seen and been through one of these, I mean, let me give you some equivalents. So if any of the your participants today have been through Super Bowls, this is almost the equivalent of having 3 Super Bowls every day for 17 days. So this is almost 3 times larger than the Calgary Olympics in '88 when I lived in Calgary and went through the Olympics there. So it's the 3rd largest non-military event on this planet. So we have not seen the complexity. You're going to have, I'm trying to give context of other experiences. And if you look at APEC, remember APEC was here? They had 7 world leaders here. And remember, and their entourages and logistics behind the scenes, which most people don't see or probably care about. But in this case, we're going to have somewhere up around about 200 world leaders here, not just 7. So when you lay them out, unlike Expo, where we really weren't required in '86 to put on a transportation system, here there'll be between 5 to 7 totally separate and independent transportation systems that we have to put on, of which one of them is the movement of spectators and the workforce that goes, how do you move the workforce around that involved in the games, as well as the workforce to go do what we normally do on a daily basis. So it's very, very large. And one of the keys for me is the duration of this. This is not Symphony of Fire for 2 or 3 days, and people settle down and go back into the routine. This is 17 days of events plus the load-ins, load-outs, and all the preemptory build-up work that goes on. So it's the largest event this city most likely will actually ever encounter.
Wow. So what can people do? What can they expect to have to do for themselves? You talk about people, don't really want to know about the logistics. And quite frankly, if it's running well, they wouldn't know about the logistics. What's expected of people?
I think the first thing is, this is a great opportunity to sell Vancouver and our country to the world. This is a Canadian game. This is not Vancouver's games or Whistler's games, or this is our country's games. And so we have to look through the IOC, International Olympic Committee's eyes. And so they are coming here to understand our culture, our city. There's many people who will never be coming back. The goal is, how do you communicate that? So everybody's got a role to be an ambassador for our city, our region, our games. So that's what we can do in terms of the communicating and selling our region. Specifically to transportation, though, there are some really important pieces that are going to be unfolding here over the next period of time. We have to reduce approximately 30%, and this is very significant, about 30% of what I'll call the general traffic on the road in this region during the games. So it's one of those, doesn't hurt when you say it fast, but it's a significant piece. So the question is, so what can people do about that? I think firstly, if you don't have to travel, don't. When I lived in Calgary, I worked at a large organization at that time, and if you can change your travel pattern, change it. It is business unusual, and that it is not what you think. If you can start your work early, finish a little bit earlier. If you can, some days, if you were taking your car, if you needed your car, sometimes you can take transit. But one of the big keys here is know before you go. Know what the conditions are that you're going to be traveling on, and this will all come up with some very significant messaging in late fall, in the winter period, and clearly in a ramp up to the games. But plan on more travel time. That's something I saw after this is my 4th Olympic Games that I've seen. You're gonna, if it's almost parallel to if you think you went into a country airport to take a plane, you walk in, you park your car, you get on the plane, and you go. Envision it comparatively to now having to travel through the international terminal, where it's going to take hours, adding on those hours of extra time to get where you want to go in case something unforeseen goes wrong, in case you're going to have to go through the screening like you do at an airport. So you will have that going into almost all events. We saw that in Torino, Salt Lake, LA, Calgary. So those things take time. So if you think in the experience of opening ceremonies, it's not uncommon for people to be in their seats up to 3 hours before the game even starts, the event even starts. So if you think you're going to stroll down the aisle while they're singing the anthem with a beer in your hands, you're probably going to be disappointed. Well, you're going to be disappointed, right?